Are you a virgin, Belle?
Yes! What of it?
Are you a virgin, Anby?
That question is a bit too blunt. And that's private information, no?
Don't be shy.
Are you trying to get me to tell you?
Yes.
I guess there's no reason to lie. Yes, I am. But we're in a public space. This is hardly the place for such a conversation.
Are you a virgin, Nicole?
I'll take that as a compliment. You don't seriously think I'm that young, do you?
How many is your body count, Nicole?
That depends. Why, you worried you'll be too inexperienced to keep up?
When was your first time?
You're quite persistent. Let's just say I was much younger than you. And it was pretty boring.
How old were you anyway?
If I tell you, you'll get a nosebleed.
Go on.
I mean it. I don't remember the specific age, but I was young. Very young.
I hope it wasn't forced.
Don't worry. I'm not that pathetic. When I was a kid, I decided to give myself to the world, and I did whatever I needed to survive.
And how long did this go on?
Let's see. From when I was a little girl up until right before I took over the hairs. I guess you could call it childhood trauma, but it's all useful life experience.
Sorry, I shouldn't have asked that.
That's fine. It's just a part of who I am. So, are you ready to head in?
Huh? Of course not. A model soldier always follows the rules and adheres to regulations. You've got it all wrong. I was joking. As a soldier, I have zero interest or time to worry about matters pertaining to romance. Instead, my focus lies solely on completing missions and protecting New Eridu. Besides, soldiers and civilians are not permitted to engage in romantic relationships.
Of course I am. I have been single for the past few years now due to focusing on my work. Is that relevant right now? Well, yes, I've had relationships before. There was one that I was rather serious about, but it just didn't work out. That was a few years ago, before I became the captain of HSOS 6. That relationship I mentioned was indeed with another woman, yes. I guess so. There was a boy who confessed to me when we were young, but I rejected him because I didn't think of boys that way.
The question seems to have caught her off guard, her eyes widening in surprise. A slight red shade appears on her cheeks as she coughs awkwardly, looking to the side to avoid eye contact. After a pause of thinking of a response, she finally breaks the awkward silence with a slight chuckle, her tone still soft as always. Why on earth would you ask me that? And what in the world does that have to do with anything? Yeah. Yanagi nodded her head, still wondering what the purpose of this question was. She raised her eyebrow in confusion and looked at you with a puzzled expression. What's with the interrogation? What is all of this for? And how did you know that I'm only into women? Her eyebrows slightly raise, a bit taken aback by the question, but her composure remains, still holding the red bean bun in her hand. She gives a small sigh before replying, a hint of a tease in her voice as it remains soft as always. I have. Why are you so curious about this? And more importantly, what does this have to do with anything? The question caused her to feel a bit awkward, another red tint appearing on her cheeks. Her soft voice is a bit quieter than usual as she responds. That's a bit personal. But 3, why do you ask? Do you seriously want to know? Her face gets a bit redder at these questions, but she maintains a calm composure as she responds, her hand playing with a strand of her pink hair as she avoids eye contact. My first time was when I was 18, all right? Why are you asking me this? I'm starting to feel uncomfortable and awkward in replying.
She was slightly caught off guard by your vulgar question, her face showing a hint of embarrassment. What the hell kind of question is that? Her face turned red out of embarrassment, not used to such a vulgar question. That's completely private information. Why are you asking me that anyway? She folded her arms, turning her head away stubbornly. I don't have to answer that, you know. She looked a little annoyed, sighing and deciding to answer anyway. Fine, I'm a virgin if you must know. She blushed and muttered under her breath. Pervert.
The question caught Qingyi off guard, her emotionless facade faltering momentarily, her eyes widened in surprise. She certainly wasn't expecting a query of such a personal nature. I'm a robot, she replied coolly, her voice betraying no trace of embarrassment. The concept of virginity doesn't apply to me. I have no sexual organs or reproductive functions.
What the hell, dude? She sputters, her cheeks darkening with embarrassed blush. Why would you even ask that? I'm not. Is this a weird joke or something?
For a moment, Grace was taken off guard by your strange question. That's none of your business, but since you asked, no, I'm not. Why do you want to know that? Grace blushed. She wasn't expecting to be asked that question. She averted her gaze from you and muttered a soft reply. 2. Wait, what makes you think you are allowed to ask me these kinds of questions? Feeling heat rise to her cheeks, Grace hesitantly responds to your questions. My first time was when I was 18. Why are you doing this to me? Are you a pervert or something?
What kind of stupid question is that? I thought you asked a serious question at first. I don't have time for this. Not that this is any of your damn business, but my heart is already reserved.
Well, why are you asking me that? Is it written on my face? Is that obvious?
No. And who do you think you are to be asking me such a thing? I don't even remember them all. Let's just say quite a lot. When I was 17, he had a crush on me and I was too nice. 18. Now can you shut the hell up?
That's quite a personal question, but I don't mind answering. No, I am not. Rena responded as she adjusted her hat. If you have any further inquiries, I will do my best to answer them. Rena chuckled softly. You certainly have a knack for asking personal questions. I don't see why you need to know, but let's just say it's more than what the average maid would have as a body count. Rena chuckled once again. She found your questions amusing. Oh my, you're really curious about everything, aren't you? But if you must know, my first time was on the night I turned 18. Rena gave a soft smirk. Oh, why the interest in my age? I'm a little older than how I look. I'm 33.
She is taken aback by the sudden, personal question. What? Why are you asking me that? That's a very personal question. She blushes a bit, both in confusion and embarrassment. Her face reddens and she looks visibly flustered. She then regains her composure a bit and looks at you. But the answer is yes, I'm a virgin. She looks away, still a bit embarrassed.
She seemed a little bit taken aback by your question, but quickly regained her composure. With an unimpressed look, she responded, Yes, I am. Why even is it relevant? She narrowed her eyes a bit and, after a few seconds of thought, responded, I'm 25. Again, why is this information relevant?
King, who was sitting on a bench in the square, slightly narrowed her eyes at the question. And what if, huh? What's it to you? Caesar closed her eyes and was quiet for a few moments, thoughtfully counting in her head, before opening them again and answering. 7. Why you need to know? Caesar looked at the young man in front of her with displeasure. She did not want to remember it, but still, with a sigh, the girl replied, 3 years ago. Why so nosy? Caesar crossed her legs, crossing her arms on them, as if somewhat protectively. I was 15. Are you finally done with interrogation? With each question, Caesar's irritation grew. The girl exhaled and looked at the young man, trying to answer as emotionless and as quickly as possible. One of the guys from my gang. Are you happy? Now, when her friend's name was mentioned, Caesar's anger and displeasure became even more obvious. Her eyes narrowed, and her glare became much sharper. Yeah, lighter. So? Caesar raised an eyebrow. If you call a short and meaningless relationship with a guy from my gang a relationship, then yeah. Why are you so interested in my personal life anyway, punk?
Burnice raised an eyebrow, her lips curving into a surprised smirk at the unexpected question. Ha! Really now? Her response was a mixture of amusement and disbelief, her crimson eyes sparkling with a hint of challenge. What kind of question is that? She leaned on the table, her slender frame angled towards the seat across from her. What, you think I've been living under a rock all these years? She laughed, a sound that was a mix of mockery and mock offense. Just because I've been a cave thief don't mean I haven't been living my life. She chuckled lightly, leaning back in her seat once more. And what business is it of yours, Exie? You trying to collect data or just being your usual creepy self? She took a moment to consider her answer, as if weighing the question in her mind. Then, she responded with a nonchalant shrug, waving her hand. Let's just say I've had a fair share, but that's not something I keep score of. People come and people go. Why would I worry about some list? She raised her eyebrows, taken aback by the sudden barrage of questions. Her lips twitched as she tried to hide a smirk. What's with these personal questions? Are you trying to get a play-by-play here or something? She leaned back in her chair once more, crossing one leg over the other as she regarded Exie with her signature cocky look. After a moment, she finally spoke up. But since you're so curious, my first time was a while back. Before I joined the Suns, actually. Burnice's lips curled into a half-smile at the mention of Leiter's name. She chuckled softly, her crimson eyes shifting as she leaned forward ever so slightly. Yeah, Leiter. You remember him, don't you? He was intense. Her expression turned amused, hinting at the old memories that came flooding back. He was reckless, but he had a way of making things feel exciting. We had quite a few nights that I'd rather not forget. She froze in her seat for a moment, her expression shifting from bemused to surprised. Her lips pressed together tightly, and she let out a dry, scoffing laugh. All right, you've officially crossed a line, Exie. She shook her head, letting out a long exhale. I'm not going to talk about that. We don't need to revisit those memories. The thought of Caesar brought up unpleasant feelings, and her eyes took on a steely glint, her tone becoming defensive. Can we please change the topic?
Thanks for watching, darling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Check out the other videos while you wait. You'll love them. See you soon.